Hi, friends. Welcome back to Stylist Soul Tribe Conversations. We have Maila Snow joining us today. Maila is a certified life coach, breathwork facilitator, meditation teacher, and NLP practitioner. She helps beauty pros build the life and business of their dreams through meditation, aligned strategy, mindset shifts, and manageable systems. Hi, Maila. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, thank you so much for having
You're
me.
so welcome. We were chatting before I hit record, as we always do, and I was telling Mila, I feel like I know you between Thrivers, Hunter. You worked with him for a while. I'm very good friends with him. Just kind of being, and even like as I read your intro, it's like, duh, we clearly need to know each other better. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is such a cool opportunity having this podcast to have a longer form conversation and network with other people in the industry. You can DM people back and forth. You can have these comments here and there, but there's nothing like sitting as close as you can to face, having a long form conversation with people that I'm just so grateful to get to meet so many cool people in this industry. So, yeah, thank you again for coming on. Why don't you take it back? When did you start learning these things? What has made you passionate about these things to build a business around it? Just tell me everything.
Yeah, so really how it started was I just didn't feel good.
Mm,
Like that's really how it started, like I was building an amazing business behind the chair. I
mm,
was making good money, getting a lot of really good clients in on a regular basis. And I was working through Thrivers, and
mm,
everything was just like working really well for me,
yeah.
but I felt awful. I
Mm,
had crippling anxiety. I was slipping into some pretty intense depression,
mm,
and I had a really volatile, like hot and cold relationship with my mom too, which I
mm.
didn't want. And I didn't know how to fix all of those kinds
Feel
of
that.
things. It started with therapy and trying to figure out what I actually wanted and what made sense for
Yeah.
me and what was going to make me happy and how I could stop feeling so horrible all the time
Mhm.
and so just like everything would make my mind race. Everything
Mm,
would make me doubt myself. And I was always putting myself down and telling myself I wasn't good enough and like
yeah.
just doing the hardcore hustle lifestyle too.
Yeah. So
You
like
know,
what time frame would you say this was?
this was in 2018, 2019,
Okay.
when in 2019 is when I was diagnosed with anxiety and
Okay.
depression. And that's when I really started to try and figure out what made sense for me. So
Hmm.
I had already kind of started dabbling in meditation a little bit, and I just kept on going with that route, kept on going with the
Like, okay,
therapy.
this is kind of helping. Yeah.
This is kind of helping, like,
Hmm.
keep it going, doing journaling every once in a while. And then I just started getting like really into the journaling aspect of it and just
Mm-hmm.
like getting all of my thoughts out. And the first thing that like really made me feel good was at the end of every day, I was writing down all the things that I did do, all the things that I was proud of myself for
Mm,
doing. And it could have been like the simplest little things. And I
yeah.
just made sure that it was stuff that was like giving me that dopamine hit
Yeah.
that made me feel like, okay, I did do stuff
And
today.
then when your brain starts to turn against you, as you know, you're predisposed for, you have these pages and pages of lists of like, no, come on now. Like I clearly am doing things and
Yeah.
it's not fair to beat myself up in that way because you have this track record now.
Yeah, literally. It's like your track record. And I would go, like, when I would have hard days, I would go through and I'd look at that and be like, wow, look at all this stuff that I was doing.
Mm,
And I was beating myself up all day long.
yeah.
And then I would go and look at that and be like, I did so much today. How
Yeah.
amazing.
What
So,
got you into journaling originally? Was that just like recommended from your therapist? Because I've recently gotten into journaling. I've talked about it quite a bit on the podcast after reading a book. When did that start for you, and how did you even start? Because a lot of people be like, "Oh, journaling doesn't work for me," or "I don't know how to do that," and it's like there's more to it.
that's a really good question. I think it was just when I was meditating. It was kind of recommended to do them
Hmm.
together.
Okay.
And I had started meditating when it was still like a hippie thing or
Yeah.
whatever, like not
Not
like,
as socially acceptable. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because I was doing that in like, I don't know, like 2012
Yeah.
ish time when it wasn't as like popular as it is now.
Yeah.
And so I would journal every once in a while. And during my time with my therapist and everything like that, I started doing a little bit more, realizing that I liked it and started doing it more and more. And then as I continued to do my research and get more serious about my meditation practice and started doing yoga, it just really clicked in and it
You
makes
just subscribed to all of that, and then the whole world of
Mhm.
that stuff kind of opened up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
So when I had my son in 2022, I decided to step away from behind the chair, figure
Was that
out
a hard decision to make? Tell me about making that decision.
it
No, it's
actually.
exactly what I wanted and needed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it really was not a hard decision. I knew that I wanted to be home with my son. I knew that I needed that time with him
Mhm.
and that I just had to figure out something else to do in the meantime.
Yeah.
So I went into being a VA for hairstylists because
Mhm.
I am really good with my systems.
I
I'm
think I
very
remember
high
seeing that
paced.
when that was happening. Yep.
And I had a couple clients who I was getting on calls with them, and it was turning into coaching
Mm.
every single time.
Hmm.
They'd come to me with all their problems. I don't know how to deal with this client. I don't know how to deal with this within my business. This is
Yeah.
where I want to go. I don't know how to get there. Like
Hmm.
all of that kind of stuff, I was just getting on a daily basis with my
Yeah.
clients. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm doing way more than just VA
VA work.
work. I should probably get some sort of education around this so it's
Mm.
ethical
Yeah.
instead of me just like
Winging it.
so I got my life coach certification, and that, like, when I did that, that's when like everything
Okay,
like
tell me all about that. Like,
really
what were
opened.
the big breakthroughs with that?
I just loved it. I was
Okay.
obsessed with it. I loved being able to be a safe space for people, be their true authentic self, and just tell
Hmm.
them everything that they have going on and what they want,
Yeah.
and being able to see things from a high level view because
Yeah.
they're so deep in it that they can't
Hmm.
see it from up here, you
Yep.
know? So to be able to be that person for them and be like, okay, I see like all these different things you have going on. Here's what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
And seeing it making such a huge impact in their lives.
I think at this point in 2024, a lot of people do know that by now. But if you've never invited someone in to take a non-biased look at your life, be it a coach, be it a mastermind, be it, I mean, something outside of your circle of influence already that knows you so well, that knows the inner workings, they're almost too close to it because they're in your world as well.
Yes.
Absolutely life-changing.
And I think that that is one thing that is really important for people to know as well is that all of us that are doing these kinds of things, we're also getting that for
Yeah,
us too.
absolutely.
You have to
Yeah.
be able to show up for other people, you have to be able to continually get that feedback and help from someone who's ahead of you in their journey.
Totally. And you even saying that made me realize because I'll go through periods where I almost like I'll go hard into education in a
Mhm.
specific area and then I'll feel like okay, I really understand this like trajectory now or this roadmap now. However, I'm extremely intuitive and I'm excited to get into this because I can tell that you are as well. And so when I take education, like I appreciate the knowledge, but then it almost has to like filter through my intuition. So then I
Absolutely.
intuitively know it's time to take a break and be alone with my thoughts for a little while. I get that itch again where like I do need new perspective. Like my intuition has brought me
Mhm.
as far as it knows how to go on its own. I need
Yep.
another download of information, which I can then filter through my intuition again. And I've never even really like put it into words until you
Mhm.
just said that.
So I call that seasons. Those are like your seasons of life of where like no one can be in that hustle mentality forever and
Absolutely not.
not break down, right?
No,
No one can be in this knowledge in the season of gaining knowledge and then not get burnt out if they're never
absolutely.
taking a break in implementing it and
Yeah.
doing something with what they're learning. So I call all of those little areas in your life seasons
Love.
because you have a season of knowledge, you have a season of implementation, and then you have
Hmm.
a season of maintaining.
Hmm.
and you just like cycle through that for your entire life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or, you know, you kind of upgrade to the next level in the video game and there's a new, like you become a parent and now there's that is mixed into this cycle and now the cycle isn't repeating quite as fast
Yes.
anymore because you keep
Hmm.
like picking things up along the way. Okay, so you got life coach. What about NLP? I know a little bit about NLP. Like when did you work that in?
So when I took my NLP practitioner training
Mm-hmm.
when my son was like 9 months old.
Okay.
So that was around the time that I was getting my life coach certification. And my friend was just like, hey, I heard about this thing called NLP. I think it's something that you would really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you should take the class.
Yeah.
So I did that and it was amazing. It's
Yeah.
really, really interesting. And I actually think it's something that is super helpful for
Our
hairstylists.
industry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because it teaches you rapport and
Mm-hmm.
how to connect with whoever you're talking to on
And
a
what is it?
deeper level.
Neuro linguistics? What does it stand?
Neuro-linguistic programming.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like these little, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what my perspective, I've never taken it and I just know a few people that have. It's like
Hmm.
almost reading into like subconscious cues a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So definitely helps with communication.
Yes. So like it helps you to learn, as I said, rapport. So like how someone else is moving and the way that they're speaking, the tone of their voice, the
Mm-hmm.
cadence of their voice, stuff like that. It helps you to match and mirror those things so that people feel more
Mm,
connected to you, more drawn to you. So they'll open up more because they
interesting.
feel comfortable. And then it also goes through things like how when people are thinking through things, how they look away. Like I always
Mm-hmm.
look up this way when I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, like, and
Yep.
it tells you how
What that means
what
inside the
that means
brain.
and
Yes.
yes, how they process things,
So
stuff like
interesting.
that. So it just helps you to learn how to communicate on a more effective level. And
Okay.
it also really helps you to deal with your own baggage and get rid of
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff. It's a
Mm.
different version of life coaching, basically,
Okay.
that is really, really based in science. And it's like a lot of scientists, psychologists, like all those kind of
Fascinating.
people and like all of the clinical studies that they've done
Okay.
and taking it from like a whole bunch of different people and putting it into one program is
Did
basically
you do that in person or digitally?
it's in person.
Cool.
To be able to get your certification, you have
Awesome. And you loved that?
loved it. I think that it's helped me so much in understanding how to help people better and connect with them and really
Mm,
understand like the things that they're saying so that I can help them on a higher level for
yeah.
sure.
Love.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mhm.
All right. And so then you went from the VA work, you kind of felt this, you know, ethical pull to get more educated. When did that
Mhm.
transition from VA to what you are currently offering and sharing? How did that come about?
It's just been like a natural progression with the life coaching and doing my certification for that. The program that I used had you start every session with a meditation,
Okay.
and all of my practice clients were just like, "You're really good at this.
Mm,
Like this is something that you should be doing
naturally
regularly."
gifted at. Yeah.
Yes, it's just a natural thing for me, and I was just like, "You know what? I really love doing it." Like, that's my
Mm-hmm.
favorite part of every session is being
Yeah.
able to see someone just, like, drop down and get
Mm,
grounded immediately, you know? It's
mm-hmm.
amazing how that happens, and you can just see it, like, them just kind of melt a little bit. I'm like, "Okay, I
Mm,
feel so much better," and they have more clarity, and they're
yeah.
able to communicate with you in a better way. So, I started with that because I was having so much fun with it,
Yeah.
and doing that part of it. So I was like, okay, let's learn how to do this correctly
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of just like finding some meditations online and reading them, right?
Yeah.
So I got my certification for that. And
Amazing.
I was just like, I need to figure out how to make this an offer. I need to
Yeah.
figure out how to make this a consistent thing for me. And it's also so helpful for the season of life that I'm in with a young child to
Yeah.
be able to do something like that, that I can pre-record it when he's
Totally.
asleep and stuff like that. And that just naturally led into breath work because breath work is such a huge part of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a mastermind program
Mm-hmm.
where that was happening in like a lot of the sessions is like, okay, I need to do this certification as well.
Okay.
And that is like the missing piece.
Okay. So now, given everything that you know about meditation and breath work, like how
Hmm.
do you share that with hairstylists? What do they need? How do they start incorporating some of these things in if they're feeling awful like you were all those
Hmm.
years ago?
So the easiest way to implement it is making it a part of your morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
And you really only need like 15 minutes to
Mm-hmm.
do like a 5-minute meditation or 5 minutes of breath work and then just journal afterward
Mm-hmm.
is the easiest way to implement it. And then as you get more used to that and you're able to quiet your mind easier because it's a practice. Like
Yeah.
it's they call it a practice for a reason because you can't just
That's another thing when people say I'm not good at meditating. Like, other
yes.
than just accepting and understanding what meditation is, it's not like you ever hit a point where you're like, oh, wait, I am good at meditating. No, you just
Mm-mm.
understood that there's no really such thing as being good or bad at meditating. It's just being.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it, like exactly what it is. And it's just like any other sort of workout that you do, right? Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
start off with amazingly strong muscles. You have to
Yeah.
work towards it. This is the same exact thing. You
Yeah.
continue to work towards it and quiet your mind and learn how to tap more into your body and your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And this is someone who had like crippling
Like
anxiety.
you said. Mm-hmm.
My mind was always racing. My mind was always like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. My to-do list was 5 miles long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could never sit down and just be
Yeah.
quiet and
Yeah.
calm. It took a really long time for me with my mental health journey to be
Mm-hmm.
able to just like sit down and do a 45-minute long meditation. Years. It
Yeah.
took years.
And obviously that crippling anxiety to like, wait, this really works to the point that I could share it with others. Like that obviously didn't
Mhm.
happen overnight. What were those like
Mm-mm.
layers like or those seasons like as like so it was I'm assuming messy at first and then you're probably like, wait a second, this is kind of working. Tell me about that.
Um, I mean, it all just came together with my journey of
Yeah.
working through everything from doing the therapy and through, I feel like the biggest catalyst was having my son.
Isn't that wild? I know.
Yeah.
And I try to be empathetic to saying that because people will ask me questions about my journey, and I'm like, I would not be who I am. My brain chemistry shifted so much with both of my children
Hmm.
that I don't, so I totally relate to that, that was like a huge turning point for you. It's like it rewires everything.
Literally everything. Like,
Like I don't even know who that person was, which I had my kids very young, so I obviously have like really grown up and my brain has developed, but like
mhm.
I don't relate to who I was pre-children at all. And I know Matt's kind of an extreme take on it, but yes, it rewires everything.
Yeah, and I am so confused when I think back on who I used to be and
Hmm.
everything like that. How did that person function? I
I
don't even
know.
understand. How is this half the time now? I'm like, how am I functioning?
That's what you just said to me. You were like, my son is 3. How do you have 2? And I'm like, mine are so old. And you're almost like in the season. As soon as you feel like you understand the season, they grow and everything's
Yep.
different immediately. As soon as you get used to anything. But isn't that also just life, right?
Yeah, pretty
And so just
much.
kind of rolling with that. So you also put nervous system regulation and kind of like our
Hmm.
talking points. So what does that mean to you? And like obviously I know meditation and breath work is part of that, but like tell me more about
Yes.
what that even means.
So, nervous system regulation is a huge thing that everyone really should be practicing, but especially if you have anxiety, depression, kind of those kinds of things going on in your life, or
Mm-hmm.
if you are not ever able to identify your emotions
Mm-hmm.
or understand like why you're reacting to things the way that you are,
Mm-hmm.
that's all because you're always in fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
So, nervous system regulation helps you to get back to neutral so
Mm-hmm.
that you can check in with your body, understanding where things are sitting within your body because you
Yeah.
tend to hold on to all of your baggage in parts of your body without actually tapping into your body and making sure that it's being released. So that's one of the hot words right now is somatics. Nervous system regulation is somatics. They're the
Okay.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a very like keyword hot term right now
Buzzword, yeah.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buzzword. That's the word I was looking
Mm-hmm.
for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For nervous system regulation, it's literally tapping into your body, grounding yourself, getting back to neutral, and moving through whatever is within your body that
Mm-hmm.
is needing to be released.
And how does one do that?
So there's a lot of different ways. You can meditate, journal, breath work. It's also like intuitive dancing. Like, have you ever done
I've
ecstatic
seen
dance?
somatic dancing.
Any sort of like intuitive, somatic, ecstatic dancing is literally just like moving your
Moving.
bodies in
Mm-hmm.
ways that helps to loosen you up and release the tension.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do it with like shaking, like
Yep.
just shaking any part of your body
Mm-hmm.
that's feeling weird, intentional movement also. So yoga
Mm-hmm.
is super helpful for that, but you're doing it in like a slower way of like, oh wait, this part of my body feels kind of weird. I need to like
Mm-hmm.
stretch it in this way.
Yep.
Like I hold a lot of my tension and emotions in my hips.
Mm.
So I always end up doing a lot of really weird squats and stuff like
Yeah.
that to move through it and release it. And
Yeah, finding where that lives and moving that. Yeah.
exactly. So that's what nervous system regulation is. It's just literally a whole bunch of different options for
Mm-hmm.
helping you to get grounded and tap back into your body and see what's actually going on with your body and getting
Mm-hmm.
out of fight or flight mode.
Mm. Yes, love that. So let's
Mhm.
say someone is like having a moment, a season where where, like you were saying, crippling anxiety, all of these buzzwords sound great, but it's like literally in this moment, like, what is it that I do? So I'm trying to like paint a picture. Say they're in the
Mhm.
salon, they've had, they just had a really tough client that totally hijacked their energetic space. They got another one coming in and they're just like, "Oh my God, I can't do this anymore." Like, what are some like instant gratification drop-in practices that you recommend?
Box breathing.
Okay.
So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And
Mm-hmm.
just doing that just like a box. In,
Mm-hmm.
hold, out, hold. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So box breathing is the fastest way to kind of dispel the tension within your body. And especially if you do have anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the biggest things that is recommended to you by
Yeah.
therapists is box
Yeah. And
breathing.
it's proven. Like it's not
It's
just like, "Oh
proven.
yeah, of course I can breathe." It's like, no, it's actually like hormones and chemicals get released to actually chill you the hell out. Now, when you say breath work, I've done a few breath work sessions, then I've done some just
Mhm.
like on my own breath work where I've done a meditation and it's been part of it. I've done a couple in-person breath work sessions that were very moving and I didn't even realize. Breath work is
Mhm.
trippy. So I'd love to hear, I guess, what it means to you. But yeah, like we did one, and not this last year's retreat, but the one before Kristen Tozeman led a breath work exercise. And I don't think any of us realized what we were getting into. Like, it was like doing drugs, kind of like it was wild. I did not realize how much the breath could affect your psychological feelings.
Yep.
So tell me everything about breath work.
So breath work is it's the only autonomic bodily function that you have control over.
Like even if you like you could choose to not control it, but you can tap in. Like you can't choose
Exactly.
to make your heart rate faster or anything like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only thing that you can actually tap into and have control over. So it will literally like you're tapping into your nervous system that way
Mm,
by controlling your breath.
mm,
So even when you're doing box breathing, that's breath work. Like anything
mm-hmm.
that's intentional breathing and
Mm-hmm.
intentionally paying attention to your breath is breath
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm,
But when you're doing it in a session like you did with Kristen,
mm-hmm.
you are choosing to more intentionally drop into your body and see where things are living
Mm.
and release what needs to be released. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have
The
some crazy experiences if you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I mean, I have released so much of my baggage around. So I mentioned earlier that I was struggling with my relationship with my mom.
I have mom issues too, so go ahead,
Yeah.
pop off.
We actually have an amazing
Good.
relationship, and I could not live life without her. But all of my generational trauma comes from her side. And I realize that it's not
Fair.
her, it's
Mm-hmm.
all generational stuff.
Yeah.
So through breath work, I have released an insane amount of trauma and abuse and
Mm.
neglect and
Mm.
abandonment that comes from my mom's side of the family.
Mm.
It's amazing. And every time I think about it, it gives me goosebumps. Like I have goosebumps right
Mm.
now. It's just what I've been able to release and how I've been able to care for myself on a whole
Mm.
new level, especially since becoming a mom, is
Mm.
just insane. I have to share this. I have
Mm.
to help other people have the same experiences that I have had and feel so much more comfortable in my own skin and
Mm.
not be so confused about like why I'm angry, why I'm sad,
Mhm. Mhm.
all of those things. And I don't have anxiety anymore.
Wow.
I don't have depression anymore. Those
Wow.
are gone
Mm.
because I started doing these
Did
things.
you go into those breathwork sessions knowing like that's what you were trying to do, or did it just kind of happen on its own? Like, how did that progress?
You typically like have an intention for what you would like to work through during a session,
Hmm.
but your body is going to tell you no
Yeah.
matter
If
what.
something more important needs to get worked
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know how many times I've gone into a session and be like, okay, I want to work through like
Mhm.
this block, or I want to try and manifest this, like all these things.
And
And
it's
your
like,
body
no,
just
no,
like,
no, babe, we got to work on this
yeah.
first. Yeah.
Like, no, this is what's ready to be released
Mm.
today.
Hmm.
And it just, your body is so intelligent.
Mm.
And we, as a society, are told that
Yeah.
we need to be in our head all the
Hmm.
time. When your body will always tell you what you need, your
Yeah.
body will always tell you what's right for you, but we're
Mm.
taught not to listen to it anymore.
Hmm.
That's the problem, is
Yeah.
that society has told us, no, you can't listen to that.
Think
Listen
your way
to,
through this, do it this way. Mm.
yeah.
That's
So it's,
powerful.
and that's exactly what you're doing. You're intentionally letting your body care for you
Mm.
during those breathwork sessions and tell you what's ready to be released.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The one that I'm talking about was more of the like fast pace. Have you learned what all of that equals for people now that you know how to lead them?
Yeah, so depending on what the group or the individual is needing,
Mm-hmm.
I am able to intuitively know, like, okay, this needs to be a little bit more
Like their
intense.
pattern. Mm.
And you have like different kinds of breath work techniques that
Mm.
will give you a more intense release
Mm-hmm.
and help you get like more into your body. And then there's
Interesting.
ones that will help you to kind of down regulate or balance and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
there's like up regulation ones that will like get you energized or
Mm-hmm.
really tap in to help you release something. And then there's stuff that will help you to completely neutralize and
Mm.
get back to natural. Or there's down regulating ones to
To
help
calm you.
really calm you down and
Mm.
relax you
Wow.
depending on like what you need. And so during a breathwork session, you typically start with just like getting super calm and more
Mm-hmm.
into a meditative state and really, really grounding.
Mm.
And then you go through like really intense somatic rounds to
Mm-hmm.
help you figure out what your body is trying to tell you that day and
Mm-hmm.
help you to release or understand.
Mm.
Or sometimes your body just tells you, like, hey, you just need to chill out.
Yeah.
And I could
This
be,
isn't yours to solve. Yeah. Just
yeah,
surrender.
and I can be doing like a really intense breathwork session for the group because that's what the group needs.
Yeah.
And if someone's body tells them, like, no, you just need to chill, they chill.
So the retreat that I'm talking about, we had 40 people doing a breathwork session together. And yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, for me, I definitely had never done anything to that extent. So it was very much like a almost like an immense almost hyperdrive like clarity, like it
Yeah.
was just a very like trippy, disorienting, whoa. But there were people in the room, and she warned us in advance, like you may feel the need to twitch, shake, move. And there were people in the room that like you could see at the end, like, oh, that person definitely had something more happen. Like I didn't have anything like
Hmm.
super crazy happen, but I won't say their names, but I can think of specific people that is like something needed to happen during that. And it was intense and they were freaked out, but it
Yeah.
was safe, and they worked through it, and it was
Hmm.
really profound. And so like I said, I didn't realize how intense breath work can be. I think I had always just done intentional breathing through meditation. And that was
Hmm.
the first one that was maybe, I don't know what we call them, up, down, whatever. But yeah, very fascinating. So, how does somebody even start to explore this world? Like, where do you even recommend they begin?
The easiest way is to start with meditation and journaling. That's why I created my membership was
Yep. Tell us
because
about the membership. She told me about it before we hit record, but tell everybody about it.
yes, so I have a membership. It's called Zenith, a meditation collective.
Amazing.
And it is, you literally get every single week a meditation, journal prompts, and then a monthly breathwork session with
Mhm.
the group. That's the easiest place to start.
Okay.
Having a guide through all of that is the best way to do it instead of like kind of bumbling about and piecing things together like I
Totally.
did.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a years long thing that I had to
Yeah.
figure out for myself. This is just like so easily packaged up into you look to see what you need that day. If
Mm-hmm.
you have something going on, or you
Yeah.
just do the meditation that I send you that week, because I have
Mm-hmm.
like the whole library basically for you to
Mm-hmm.
go through if you need something specific.
Yeah.
And you have the journal prompts that go with it, and
Mm.
it just helps you to really move through so much stuff.
Sounds
And
incredible. Sounds
yeah.
so amazing. Yeah, so we'll have the all the information for that membership in the show notes. But yeah, all in all, just kind of saying start dipping your toes into meditation. I think for everybody it's
Hmm.
different. Like I've done guided meditations. I also just listen to what my body craves. Sometimes I'll start doing guided meditations. I'm like, this isn't landing. This isn't what I need to hear. And sometimes I do just need silence. And sometimes I need Deepak Chopra instead of this person. It's just so fascinating. And so I really just trust and let my
Hmm.
intuition guide me. If it doesn't feel good, then I listen to that and I trust that. But it sounds like what you've created is really special. And like you said, it's not like a let me just kind of wild, wild west figure this out. It's very intentional with a guide. These are the prompts, what comes up, based on what comes up, let's work through this. Then, like you
Hmm.
said, it's a cycle over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what it comes down to. I think one thing that is hard for people is they don't know how to listen to their intuition yet. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to be like, okay, this doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
They can't hear that voice.
I
Um,
find the intuition conversation so fascinating because you're right. A lot of people have blocked intuitions, and my intuition is I am so co-creating with my intuition at all times that like I don't
mhm.
even comprehend. Like it's like a sense that people are missing. That is so it's like, oh, you can't hear or you can't see? Like, duh, that's just my another sense of mine. Tell me even what intuition means to you and how you kind of work people through finding that.
So intuition to me means that it's like your body and your higher self are guiding you
Mm-hmm.
to what's right for you.
Mm.
Is like in the simplest terms that I can think of what your intuition is. It's literally for me, my intuition is my stomach. Like that gut
Mm. Yep.
feeling, that's what I get. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can put two things in front of me and it's an
Yeah.
automatic
See,
where it comes
mine's a
from.
knowing. I don't know if I can point to where in my body it comes from. I think it's
Hmm.
different every time. I think sometimes when things aren't the right fit, it shows differently. There
For
is a
sure.
knowing almost all the
Hmm.
time. And there are sometimes that I'm indecisive, but I almost know if I'm indecisive, then it doesn't really matter. But when I need to be decisive, it's very crystal clear for me.
When I'm indecisive about something, it's about stuff that really doesn't matter.
I have this back knowing in the deepest depths of my soul of like, if I'm not super drawn to one or the other, I'll take this journey and it's not going to change things either way. That's kind of like almost how I
Yeah.
understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's fair. And that's kind of how I am to an extent as well. Like if am not getting a sense of a yes or no, which is
Clarity.
honestly really rare for me,
Yeah.
then I'm kind of just like, okay, well, I'll come back to this later.
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly not something that I'm ready to decide right now, so we'll
Yeah.
figure it out later, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, most of the time when I'm like that, it's because I don't actually want to listen to what my body's telling me.
You're avoiding. You
Yeah.
know the answer, but
I
your
know the
brain
answer.
is telling you, your headspace is arguing
Yeah.
with your body.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's so
yeah,
fascinating.
it's rare for me to like
Yeah.
actually not know what's right for me because I'm
Yeah.
very much of like, and this is something that has stuck with Hunter since I said this.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no,
Absolutely.
and everything is that
Easy. Yeah,
yes,
I've been living by if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no for, and I don't say hell no because there are sometimes where like, no, I know it's not a hell no, but if it's not a hell yes, then it is a no. Like I live by
exactly.
that. Absolutely, I live by that. I love speaking intuition with people because everybody, it is really spiritual, it's really personal, it's really
Hmm.
different for everybody. For some people, it's very clearly God, it's very clearly something else. And I don't think there's any right or wrong. I'm not yucking anyone's yum. I agree with all of it. It is very different for everybody, and I just love hearing the inner workings of people's minds with that. Okay, so I will leave everything for the membership in the show notes. Is there anything else, Mila, that you wanted to touch on that you feel like we've missed, or do you feel pretty good?
I feel pretty good. I just want
Good.
people to tap into their nervous system and listen to their bodies and heal what they need to heal and just be happier humans.
And I just think we're all just out here working through our journey, trying to do the
Hmm.
best we can, taking each breadcrumb as it presents itself to us. And so if you are somebody listening to this and you really, really relate to with what Mila was saying, where she was a few years ago with crippling anxiety, depression, like that's how she was feeling, maybe this is the next tiny little breadcrumb. And like that's
Yeah.
literally just our purpose here is to just follow those curiosities, see where they lead. So again, I'm so grateful to have all of these conversations and put it out on whatever platform, I'm given to share that. Mila's also a very regular ass human being, so you can also just reach out and send her a message if this
Yes.
resonated. And I say that all the time because I think people forget that, especially when you're
Yeah.
listening to a podcast, it feels much more like unattainable. But I don't know about you, but I'm answering every single DM.
That's what I was literally about to say. Like, I do not have a VA answering my DMs. That is me.
Yeah.
Like, and if you have a question, if you have something that you're struggling with, I am so happy to work through it
Yes.
with you. Like, I don't
One
care
voice
who
memo
you
away.
are.
So thank you again, Mila. Like I said, every single thing will be listed in the show notes. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.